The lineage dossiers. The Prince of Wales puts Archie's position on ice as Harry's genetic evidence ignites a palace firestorm. Sure, he is your kid, but does he belong to the crown? At exactly 9:07 in the morning on February 12, 2026, the palace dropped a bulletin that rattled everyone from Great Britain to royal enthusiasts across the globe. The announcement, while strictly professional, carried a sharp edge, verifying that the heir to the throne had formally declined to endorse the independent genetic findings handed over by the Duke of Sussex. This documentation aimed to establish that Archie Harrison Mountbatten-Windsor is genetically Harry's biological offspring and thus qualified to be added back into the official family registry. However, this wasn't just a simple case of a brother having doubts. This was a full-blown bureaucratic stonewall, stating clearly that no kid, not even a single one, asserting a claim to the throne, gets let back into the fold without undergoing a rigorous forensic audit supervised directly by the Crown. Basically, William is demanding a do-over, and he doesn't want it from just any clinic, but from the monarchy's personal security detail. So, the Windsors are battling internally once more. As for the risks, we are talking about the rightful status of two kids, the public standing of two brothers, and the destiny of the institution's direct lineage. The drama kicked off, in the public eye anyway, when the Duke's lawyers sent a thick binder over to Clarence House near the end of last week. Rumor has it the dossier spanned 72 pages, featuring genetic results from a laboratory in California verifying Harry fathered Archie, plus a legally binding testimony from Meghan Markle outlining her gestation period from 2018 to 2019, sonograms from a private Beverly Hills specialist, a duplicate of the child's birth record, and a certified declaration from an employee at the hospital in Portland. The goal here was obvious. Get Archie and Lilibet recognized as official royals again after being away for years, and pave the way for restoring their titles and perks, particularly since Harry has hinted he wants to come back to Britain after his high-profile split from Meghan. However, the clapback from the Prince of Wales wasn't just strict, it was calculated and clinical. Insiders at the palace claim William instantly brought back the Sovereign Succession Security Council, or SSSC, a long inactive task force comprised of law experts, intel agents, and record keepers charged with authenticating bloodlines during conflicts. In just a few hours, the prince's staff put a hard stop on Archie's readmission, pointing out major anomalies and lingering inconsistencies. Staffers have since leaked the specific reasons for the pushback. A 6-part confidential report dubbed the Bloodline Files. These are the warning signs William and his team claim were never addressed. Various photos of Meghan while she was expecting seem to display drastically different baby bump sizes on the very same day. The palace investigators verified the timestamps. Their digital analysis crew maintains that camera angles and outfits can't explain these discrepancies, which only reignites the old rumors that a prosthetic belly might have been involved. In contrast to the deliveries of William and Catherine's kids, there isn't a single signature from the Crown's doctors, Sir Marcus Setchell or Dr. Guy Thorpe Beeston, validating Meghan's labor process. No release forms from the hospital were ever submitted to the official records. Plus, Archie's birth certificate got changed almost a month after it was printed, swapping out Rachel Meghan Markle for Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. Although Meghan's team insisted the palace made them do it, William labeled the edit bizarre and unjustified, pointing out that Catherine's real name stays exactly the same on the documents for all 3 of her kids. Then there is that debut picture of Archie at Windsor Castle, which has been questioned for ages. Lighting pros verified the shot used professional studio gear and the layout was described by staff as looking more like a fashion magazine than a candid moment. Traditional press photographers were barred from the event. Back in May 2019, a $500,000 transfer was tracked from Archewell LLC to a fertility center near the border of Mexico, famous for handling surrogates and keeping total secrets. This payment happened just 5 days prior to Meghan announcing the birth. Sources say this specific facility focuses on all-inclusive, private, gestational arrangements. Maybe the biggest smoking gun came from a secret review by ex-MI6 cyber decoders, now working for the Palace security team, who found that the Archewell wire transfer held hidden data pointing to a confidentiality contract between the facility and an outside person. These memos were marked as evidence of a secret surrogate deal. William, usually known for staying cool under pressure, allegedly told his staff, "I am not rejecting my own brother. I am building a firewall to safeguard the monarchy's constitutional trust." Behind closed doors, though, the tension is thick. A contact near the Privy Council spilled that William has officially slammed the brakes on getting Harry's kids back into the royal fold, demanding a Crown-approved DNA audit be carried out right there on British soil. Harry, meanwhile, is firing back, claiming his brother is weaponizing red tape to stall what he maintains is a completely legitimate birthright. While Meghan has kept her lips sealed in public, her legal sharks are practically teasing that global human rights statutes might be on the table if the firm keeps stonewalling the children's official recognition. As tensions hit a boiling point, Palace sources are terrified. This brawl could spark a total public declassification of every document and ruling linked to the Sussexes' dramatic exit in 2020, covering everything from cash wires and media deals to private correspondence that has never seen the light of day. In the wake of Prince William's jaw-dropping refusal to accept the DNA paperwork provided by Prince Harry, all eyes are shifting across the pond to a laboratory in California, an attorney based in Oregon, and a suspiciously scrubbed email that could unravel the Sussexes' entire case. Right in the eye of this hurricane sits Horizon Gene Diagnostics, a boutique genetic testing outfit in Santa Barbara, located less than 30 minutes from the couple's Montecito mansion. According to Harry's legal squad, this is where a DNA analysis was run in mid-January 2026 and determined with a probability higher than 99.999% that Harry is, in fact, the biological father of Archie Harrison Mountbatten-Windsor. However, William's camp wasted no time poking holes in the procedure. Palace. Insiders point out that the samples were hand-couriered by a partisan individual rumored to be Meghan's former chief of staff, rather than through any certified or tamper-evident chain of custody. Adding another layer of mess to the pile is that Horizon Gene lacks accreditation from the U.K.'s Royal College of Pathologists and holds no recognition under ISO 17025. The global benchmark for forensic labs managing legal exhibits. Whisperers within the Sovereign Succession Security Council, or SSSC, suggest the whole setup felt custom-built to manufacture a specific outcome rather than uncover the truth. Supervision of the submission was managed by Douglas Hall, a solicitor out of Oregon who specializes in parental rights litigation for international families. According to files examined by The Telegraph, Hall didn't just oversee the testing commission. He also lodged a formal petition with the UK Privy Council on Harry's behalf, demanding the reinstatement of royal safeguards for Archie and Lilibet based on those paternity findings. But Hall's participation is now facing severe backlash after a leaked internal memo from his firm, dated January 22, 2026, was acquired by The Times. The subject line screamed, "We need optics, not science." The entire text read, If Horizon Gene won't fast-track results by the 26th, locate a partner lab that will certify pre-analysis validity. It doesn't need to be ironclad, it just has to look untouchable. We need optics, not science. The palace is only going to see the documents. Hall has not refuted the authenticity of the email. In a hazy press release, he argued the message was ripped out of context during prep for a procedural filing. Pouring gasoline on the flames is a fresh timeline put out by Williams' team, referencing banking surveillance, data, and transatlantic shipping logs. The DNA specimen was flown from Los Angeles to London on January 24th. Yet an identical vial was shipped to a secondary lab in Zurich, one that never got paid and, consequently, never ran the test. Palace sleuths argue this points to a prearranged contingency plan, hinting that the Sussex camp foresaw a likely denial from British authorities and tried to construct parallel evidence trails. Even more incriminating, the Zurich lab's internal database tagged the sample as practice use only. No official chain of custody was maintained there either. As one high-ranking official at the Home Office whispered privately, "This doesn't read like a paternity verification. It reads like the season finale of a Netflix drama." The optics are undeniably blinding. A Hollywood adjacent laboratory, a foreign legal squad, a calculated release synced up with a soft media blitz spearheaded by pro-Sussex platforms, all while the palace stayed quiet but was mobilizing behind the scenes. And now that silence is shattering. If Horizon Gene cast the first shadow, then MI6 just pulled down the blackout shades. As the palace fights over Prince Harry's disputed DNA evidence, the Bloodline Files have taken a much grimmer, more volatile turn. According to insiders connected to the Sovereign Succession Security Council, or SSSC, a top-secret intelligence dossier penned by ex-MI6 operatives and encrypted under the codename File Sigma has been brought back online. The subject header reads, "Disruption of lineal continuity. Sussex asset irregularities, 2019 to 2023. And sitting at the heart of this explosive file is a payment, a clinic, and a riddle that could totally redefine the Crown's understanding of legitimacy." On May 1st, 2019, 5 days before the palace publicly, just as the news of Archie's birth broke, a payment totaling exactly $499,900 was pushed through by Archwell LLC. The money landed with a low-key fertility clinic right outside Tijuana, Mexico, a spot well regarded among the medical elite for its ability to manage surrogacy arrangements, specifically catering to wealthy global patrons looking for ironclad confidentiality contracts. This facility, which is currently unnamed in the files, runs under a licensing framework that bypasses the need to publicly list surrogates and frequently handles births across borders, utilizing unnamed egg providers and tailored reproduction plans. This payment wasn't caught by the press or government accountants, but rather by a squad of ex-British intelligence crypto specialists currently employed by the palace's so-called custodian unit. Their investigation followed the money trail from a backup Archwell LLC bank account through a pair of shell corporations set up in Delaware and the Cayman Islands before settling into a digitized Mexican ledger tied to a holding firm identified as Forscana Biamed S.A. So, what set off the red flags? According to an insider, this wasn't for a standard checkup. The payment covered a complete surrogacy agreement and was finalized just 5 days prior to the official announcement of Archie's arrival. Both fans and detractors have argued for years about the 2019 phenomenon dubbed the moon bump theory, a widespread internet rumor suggesting Meghan Markle utilized a prosthetic stomach for her high-profile walkabouts. Back then, major news outlets brushed this off as a hateful, prejudiced attack. However, inside the royal household, digital analysis kept running in the background. Now that intelligence-linked experts are reviewing old footage, fresh evidence has come to light. 3 specific shots of Meghan taken on March 5, 2019, depict her attending a pair of London events, specifically at King's College and a charitable discussion panel. In the first image, her stomach looks large, tight, and sits low. Yet, in the second shot, taken only hours later, her midsection seems distinctly reduced and positioned higher, with visible folds under her jacket that imply synthetic fabric, bunching up. A confidential digital recreation ordered by the palace and subjected to 3-dimensional depth analysis determined no natural pregnancy could exhibit that shift in size and shape within a 6-hour window. Combine that with the account of an ex-royal employee who, under condition of anonymity, claimed the nursery area at Frogmore Cottage remained spotless. There was no prep for a birth, no supplies for aftercare, not even feeding equipment. It seemed fake. These discoveries have triggered behind-closed-doors summits involving Prince William, Princess Anne, and the King's experts on the Constitution. Based on royal protocol, any kid expecting a spot in the official household registry is required to prove a direct bloodline to a sitting royal, possess a birth certificate vetted by the royal physicians, and show a seamless chain of paperwork verified every step of the way by palace officials. As it stands, none of these criteria cover Archie or Lilibet, certainly not without universal agreement. However, the consequences involve more than just titles on paper. This has nothing to do with child rearing, noted royal expert Dr. Miles Grayson. It concerns the endurance of the Crown's legal and symbolic framework. If the lineage gets broken, even by accident, it has the potential to nullify hundreds of years of tradition. Late last night, Prince Harry released a sharp rebuttal through his legal team in London. Prince William is using suspicion as a weapon to hold back justice for his brother's children. This institution isn't built on DNA swabs. It's a family. Archie and Lilibet are our children, and they are Windsors. However, in private circles, William's camp argues this. Reaction is just an emotional smokescreen. A source near the Queen Consort allegedly remarked, "Harry desires the perks of the title without the systemic oversight that accompanies it. We don't operate on feelings. We operate on documentation." On the night of February 11th, 2026, a velvet folder stamped Lineage 1A Urgent Seal was personally couriered from Buckingham Palace to the Royal Register's office. It contained an official order signed by Prince William, acting for the Crown Succession Security Council, mandating an immediate freeze on the Royal Household Register. The mandate halted all edits, inclusions, or approvals regarding the royal status of Archie and Lilibet until a process described as a full-spectrum bloodline audit is finished. Practically speaking, this leaves Archie and Lilibet in a state of royal suspension. This has evolved beyond a domestic argument over parentage. It is a constitutional deadlock that risks revealing decades of hidden palace procedures and tearing open old wounds that the institution had successfully covered up with ceremony, silence, and painted smiles. Dating back to Queen Victoria's era, the Household Registry has functioned as a locked archive where the identities, ranks, and verified standing of every Windsor offspring are logged, yet never in modern history has a file been paused after being submitted. Until this moment, insiders familiar with the palace lockdown protocols report that Prince William triggered Section 6 of the Sovereign Child Declaration Act, a dusty but valid law from 1837, letting the heir to the throne pause any royal lineage rights whenever things get murky, messy, or legally disputed. It is essentially the kill switch for bloodline issues. noted former royal historian Edward Lonsdale, and nobody has touched it in over a century. This implies that even though Prince Harry tried to get his kids back into the royal mix using DNA files, every title, inheritance right, and ceremonial rule remains on ice. This move went beyond symbolism. It was purely functional. The digital profiles for Archie and Lilibet were scrubbed from the main database, and IT crews set up alerts to flag any unauthorized updates for review. But while William tightens the legal screws, a familiar face from the shadows has stepped back into the ring. King Charles III. Two high-level palace informants claim a secret note penned by Charles in December 2025, weeks before his medical checkup, has now been opened at William's command. The text is top secret, but the memo is confirmed real, and we know the subject line, regarding Sussex children and the trust threshold. Here is the rundown. The document sat in level 4 storage at Marlborough House. Charles wrote it after getting a private download from Princess Anne about gaps in Archie's timeline. It lays out steps to take if more forensic red flags pop up. Insiders hint the note might give the green light to block heritage rights for any baby not born under verified, witnessed conditions. Charles was torn, said an aide who saw the paper. As a grandpa, he felt the love. As king, he felt the weight. But in the end, he let William make the call. On February 12th at 8 in the morning, Meghan Markle's attorneys launched a preemptive strike in the UK High Court, blaming Prince William and the Privy Council for staging a hostile takeover masked as a background check. In the papers, Meghan's team claims the kids hold dual citizenship in Britain and the US, meaning international family laws protect their rights, and that the royal household list is not a government record, so it has zero legal standing to decide who is legitimate. They argue that scrubbing or freezing Archie and Lilibet's names amounts to erasing them from history. The evidence included shots from Archie's birthday bash in Montecito, plus a sworn affidavit from Tyler Perry confirming Meghan carried, birthed, and raised both kids like any mom would, despite crazy public hate. Still, the palace has not said a word about the lawsuit. Their silence is calculated. The family split is now impossible to ignore. Princess Anne allegedly backs William's hard line and wants a neutral royal medical panel. Prince Edward is apparently pretty queasy about the nastiness, but agrees the crown can't get caught off guard again. Queen Camilla has kept quiet in public, but was heard behind closed doors, stating the crown has to rise above the drama. As for Harry, sources say he is furious and depressed, feeling stabbed in the back not just by his brother, but by the whole system he used to represent. A palace source called a recent chat between William and Harry brief, sharp, and freezing cold. A frozen list, a secret note, a brotherhood destroyed. Now, with legal moves tapped out and family bonds snapping. The crisis hitting the British royal family has turned into something way more dangerous than a dispute over documents. It is a war for the moral soul of the throne. Right in the center of this storm is William's shocking choice to suspend all hereditary titles and money tied to Harry's kids, Archie and Lilibet, until a total ethics audit is finished by a newly formed group, the Royal Commission for Lineal Ethics and Continuity, or RLEC. As of February 12, 2026, that group is no longer just an idea, it is live. With the royal books closed and the kids' status up in the air, William sent a formal notice to the College of Arms, stopping any official use of prince or princess titles for the duo. The notice, while not a full legal cancellation under the letter's patent, works the same way. It orders court staff, palace, aides, military officers, and even party planners to stop using royal styles for the Sussex kids in any official setting. Until the bloodline is proven to satisfy the crown, the text says, the styling of prince or princess are strictly on hold to protect the brand's reputation. Sources claim this wasn't a snap decision, taken lightly, but a necessary move considering the worldwide questions about where the kids actually came from and the potential for future battles over the throne. But hotter than the title dispute is the looming shadow of Princess Diana's leftover fortune, which, according to her updated 1996 will, gets split evenly between her sons and, eventually, their legitimate heirs. With Archie and Lilibet's status currently paused, however, people are asking if they can even touch their cut of the Diana Trust. We're talking about a pot estimated north of $22 million. Insiders confirm that Prince William has been having quiet chats with the trustees, floating the idea of locking the Sussex children's portion in an escrow account until the Arlec ruling drops. That play would effectively sever immediate cash flow, which hits hard since Harry is allegedly leaning on that trust to float his family while the Archewell brand implodes. Behind closed doors, Harry calls this a stab in the back, not just to him, but to his mom. He claims Diana would never have let paranoia about bloodlines trump her love for her grandkids. Harry reportedly told a buddy she believed in hearts, not birth certificates. But palace aides push back, arguing that protecting Diana's legacy forces them to handle this with dead seriousness. This isn't about feelings, stated Lord Pembroke, an unofficial legal brain for the Sovereign Council. It is strictly a matter of fiduciary duty. Until their legitimacy is stamped, trustees have to be careful. Established by Royal Charter in 1975 but kept in the dark, until now, the Royal Commission for Lineal Ethics and Continuity, or RLEC, has been whispered about in past crises but is finally stepping out of the shadows. For the first time anyone can remember, its 7-member panel is in full session. The squad includes 2 senior peers from the House of Lords Ethics Committee, a retired Privy Council judge, the Royal Archivist General, a constitutional history buff from Oxford, the Archbishop of Canterbury's lawyer, and a former intel officer whose name is classified. Their mission is to decide if the lineage of Archie and Lilibet hits the legal, moral, and ceremonial benchmarks required to keep their standing in the royal fold. It's not just about DNA, explained royal historian Fiona Travers. This is about trust, tradition, and keeping the monarchy real in an age of deep fakes. Sources claim the RLEC has demanded every version of the birth certificates, Meghan Markle's travel logs from the year before, both arrivals, surveillance tapes from Frogmore Cottage, and unredacted Archewell bank records. If the board decides the births didn't follow royal succession laws, the fallout will be earth-shattering. Archie and Lilibet would be scrubbed from the official register permanently. Any claim to titles, even the honorary ones, would be legally voided. Future state visits, jubilee spots, or ceremonial roles would be banned. Inheritance rights from Diana's trust could be cancelled or redirected. Even more serious, Prince Harry himself might lose his HRH styling, as some commissioners see his moves as potential lineage fraud to grab institutional perks. The monarchy has weathered scandal, exile, and abdication, said Travers, but a faked royal bloodline? That triggers a public showdown of epic proportions. Polls dropping the evening of February 12th showed 62% of United Kingdom citizens back the RLEC. Review: 47% think titles should stay frozen, but 41% feel for Harry, viewing William's play as bureaucratic cruelty. On social media, hashtags like #ArchieTruthFiles and #Diana would have loved them are trending worldwide. But so is number crown or chaos. The clock is ticking. The monarchy is teetering on the edge of its most personal constitutional judgment in over 100 years. Behind the palace's wrought iron gates and inside the digital vaults of the Royal Commission for Lineal Ethics and Continuity, a decision is being said, locked in. The question is simple. Do Archie and Lilibet legally and ethically belong to the House of Windsor? As of February 13th, 2026, the final dossier compiled after a 6-day deep dive into birth records, international money wires, and private testimony is being reviewed by just 3 people: Prince William, Princess Anne, and the Lord Chancellor. Although the Commission's ruling stays sealed under royal protocol, the emotional, legal, and political aftershocks are already rippling out. Meghan Markle, who has kept conspicuously quiet through most of the RLEC drama, is reportedly prepping a taped interview to drop within hours of the verdict. Sources from her legal camp confirm that Meghan's message is going to be straight to the point, strictly personal, targeting both the monarchy and the masses. Recorded 48 hours ago at her Montecito residence, the segment is slated to feature a gut-wrenching plea regarding her role as a mom, breaking down the specifics of carrying and delivering the kids, insisting this probe stems from sexism, snobbery, and systemic blocking. I bore my own babies. I delivered them. Now they're getting wiped out. That's what Meghan reportedly claims on tape, adding, this ain't regarding ancestry. It's about dominance, terror, and grip. An autonomous American media group is handling the production, bypassing the likes of Netflix or Spotify to stream straight through YouTube, Instagram, and various global networks. Insiders at the castle are getting ready for the fallout. At the same time, Prince William is crafting a unique rebuttal, significantly cooler in tone but equally monumental. A tentative declaration headed, "Regarding ancestry and institutional stability," is supposedly finished and set to drop within 24 hours of the board's final say. King Charles supposedly greenlit the core message prior to his latest health-related withdrawal. The RLEC findings, the forever standing of Archie and Lilibet, plus the monarchy's stance on prospective rank and inheritance rights for heirs born outside vetted royal protocols. People near William describe the vibe as rock solid, unwavering, and deeply intimate. Somewhere in there, he allegedly states, "We did not reach this conclusion out of spite. It was driven by obligation. I'd sooner shoulder the weight of public anger than gamble with dissolving the monarchy's integrity." Friends claim he's accepted the fallout, including losing his brother for good. Compounding the enigma is one last curveball. Heathrow border agents leaked a confidential flight log showing a charter plane set to touch down early on February 14th, 2026. The manifest lists a grown man flying as Henry Mountbatten-Windsor, along with 2 kids marked as dependents, taking off from Van Nuys Airport, California, via a low-key global transport service favored by the top brass. Meghan isn't there. No bodyguards, no media circus. Staffers at the palace haven't verified or rejected the document. However, sources hint that Harry might be flying back to Britain solo with Archie and Lilibet. If accurate, that is a massive move, remarked royal reporter Olivia Hart. It could be his final Hail Mary to prove those kids belong, not merely by genetics, but by actually showing up. Still, some have doubts. Might be a smokescreen, cautions a staffer. This clan plays the long game, not quick matches. Reporters are already pitching tents outside Buckingham Palace. A fresh tsunami of news banners is hitting Europe. Kids in purgatory. Verdict soon. The Times, the Prince, and the genetic records. Lilibet's missing history. Der Spiegel, Markle against the crown. Whose blood counts? Views are totally split. Half the crowd sees Meghan as a contemporary mom, flattened by archaic rules. The rest view William as the essential guardian of the institution. Plenty look at Harry as the sad middleman, a guy ripped apart by romance, allegiance, and heritage. Should the board side with Archie and Lilibet, they get put back on the official roll, cleared to go by prince and princess, added to the hierarchy, and allowed to collect payouts from Diana's estate. If the commission decides against them, the kids are officially and forever barred from noble standing. Every legal and ritual right becomes null. Trying to flash those titles in the press or public might spark a lawsuit. Harry could get hit with sanctions for fraud. One last provision in the PM. Charter lets the King or the Prince of Wales in his place block or bless the call, but everything suggests William is staying out of it. He plans to honor the judgment and enforce it strictly. This goes way beyond palace gossip. It's a worldwide lesson on heritage, clout, self, and reality. 2 siblings, a pair of kids, a single family tree. One issue that will shape the crown for decades. Does biology make you royalty, or do you need the throne's stamp of approval? Tomorrow, we get the